So, hi guys, here we are, MMA UK News. Obviously, myself, Stoomboy, as always, for the MMA UK BJJ show. So, we're fresh off of SGI8. SGI8 was an absolute fantastic event. As I say, from start to finish, there was a lot of great fights on that, a lot of great highlights that came from that. Obviously, the highlight of the night, obviously coming from Owen Livesey. Pretty much taking out the whole 8-man tournament, judo style. Absolutely fantastic to watch. So, yeah, SGI8 was an absolute success. So, moving on to the next one then, SGI9, going to be the same place, Maryhill Community Hall, absolute fantastic venue. It's going to be this time, Saturday, the 11th of December. Okay, so again, more information is going to come out. Ticket prices, James will probably talk about that. Ticket prices, I would expect maybe be around about the same, but obviously James will confirm all that. And the tickets will be up, obviously, a little bit closer to the date. So James is obviously going to announce the big news that's going to be on SGI9. So James, listen, absolute pleasure. I mean, SGI8, how was it for you?
Stressful as always, the amount of chopping and changing that we had to do in the run up to the event. I mean, we had things falling apart on the day as normal, so having to try and piece things back together. I mean, I ended up being one of the judges, which I wouldn't normally do, but unfortunately, one of the judges was ill and couldn't get anyone to step in at such short notice. So
Yeah.
I had to put on my impartial hat and sit there and go on with it. But we lost one of the other fights during the day because one of the fighters had a positive lateral flow. So nothing you can do at that point. You're never going to get a PCR back in time. So unfortunately, Barry and Ian had to put it off and maybe try and get that on at a later date as long as they're both healthy enough to do it. So no, I thought it was a fantastic event. I mean, so many finishes, but even the fights that went to decision, they were tough to really judge in most cases. It was really fine points between them. I mean, I think Gavin McQueen and Kenny Haswell in particular, that one, up until Gavin got that armbar in the last few seconds, which he didn't finish, but it was the one key thing that happened in that final section, and that just kind of pushed it in my eyes anyway towards Gavin for that one. I mean, that was a really well matched fight. I mean, could go any other way the next time those two guys meet up. But yeah, no, really impressed with it in the tournament. Standard of matches in there was really good. I mean, from Ed Ingemel's performances, Owen, and God, what can we say about Owen's performance for that? Katagorama right at the start, and Gareth Byrne, you're like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And the Aiden Stephen and Dylan Nooney match, I mean, Dylan started so strong in that one, and that calf slicer that he had Aiden in was horrific looking. How Aiden gutted that out, and then the Darce variant that he went to. Again, I don't know how Dylan ended up surviving that one. But no, phenomenal matches from start to finish.
Yeah. And you mentioned Ed Ingewells as well. Absolute, I mean, especially that second match, he come out with Aiden, obviously Aiden Stephen, and basically took him down and jumped on the rear naked choke straight away. And Ed put on a, straight from the beginning right through to obviously the final, put on an absolute performance as well. So Mark McQueen, as I said, Mark McQueen, first match came out, done exactly what he always does. He comes out and just dominates, and then obviously came up against Owen Livesey in the second. And again, it was quite a well matched match up between the two, because obviously Mark was going for the takedowns, and his takedowns he was going for were textbook takedowns. I mean, he would have taken out 9 out of 10 people with it, but obviously Owen Livesey judo on an absolute other level. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody live with that level of judo.
No, I think probably the best comparison you could have used to some of the counter judo and things like that would have been Carol Parisian when he was
Yeah,
early in the UFC, the counters and things, particularly the Uchimata counters.
yeah.
I was saying to you earlier, there were times I was actually fearing for people in the front row, the first couple of counters.
Yeah.
Um, I was thinking, is the insurance going to cover this? If it's like, so, exactly what happened to these people? Well, extremely high caliber judoka through. Um,
115 kilo power lifter.
yeah,
Yeah, it would have
so
been, and it was the two guys that they were close to hitting was Richard Dixon and Kieran Reid. Obviously, they two were sitting front row, and they got obviously a little bit closer than expected to get. Obviously, when they went off the mat a couple of times, and they went off the first time, but they didn't go as far. And then obviously the second time when he obviously countered Mark. And he threw Mark right into the barrier, and you're just like, "Wow, man, wow!" So, but yeah, terrifying judo that was on display. And I mean, it went viral. Obviously, it was on like the UK Underground. It was on the
yeah,
Scottish Jiu-Jitsu page, and everybody was talking about it. And everybody was talking about it after the match as well. So scary guy, man, scary guy.
yeah, and I say then in the final as well. I mean, that was such. It was total two clashes of styles. Ed, I don't think I've seen a guy that big move the way Ed does. It's uncanny.
Yeah,
Um, he moves like someone half his size.
yeah, yeah,
And makes everyone look so effortless as well.
yeah. Yeah, I remember speaking to Ed before obviously the first matches came on, and he was standing next to me, and I just remember standing. And obviously, I'm not tall. I'm 5 feet, what, 5 at the best on my good days, and I'm standing next to Ed, and I'm thinking, my God, man, the size of this guy. But he was a big guy, big guy.
Yeah, so I'm not very, very pleased overall with how it went. I say from start to finish, we had some great matches. Um, the ladies' match between Erin and Jamie was phenomenal because the two of them tried to kill each other for 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Now the women always come out to put on a show. As I said, regardless who comes out, Lorna Kinnock, Erin Wilson, yeah, I mean any kind of females. We've had Maria on and so on, but they always come to put on a show.
Yep, that's the thing. We never really get dull matches because everyone's keen to put on a good performance. It's one of these things. Use it as stepping stone for guys who've been predominantly in our events going to like the Grapple Fest and onto Polaris and things like that as well. So
Yeah,
it could be
yeah.
stepping stone, get you used to competing under that kind of rule set and see where it takes you.
Definitely, definitely. So SGI8 was definitely a success. If you guys were there, obviously anybody that was there, obviously seen it. An absolute, again, a fantastic event as always by SGI. So, and then takes us on. Obviously, the next one, SGI9, that was announced pretty quickly after SGI8 was done. I mean, was that something that was already in place for the date, or was that something that you managed to get sorted uh, after the event?
No, that date was already booked. In fact, we're actually running it the same weekend as we would have run an event last year.
Yeah,
Because we did actually have it booked in for that same kind of weekend. Obviously, with COVID happening, nothing ever transpired because we ran a kind of Christmas show 2 years ago, which was really well attended, and we had obviously it was the first time we ran the team event as
yeah,
well. So we figured we would go for a similar approach this year and try and get a Christmas show in, which gyms can use it as an opportunity for a Christmas night out, so to speak, get some grappling, get some drinks in at the bar. And yeah, we'll get a big announcement about that to make, so may as well go straight on to that one then. So
Yes.
I did obviously mention that the show 2 years ago was the first time we ran our Square Go team tournament, which is essentially, please don't sue us, Mr. Sakuraba, but a version of Quintet. So 5-man team, maximum weight of 420 kilos for the team. Now we had obviously planned to do a ladies version of this one at SGI9. Unfortunately, Lorna got injured, so that's on the back burner until, as we said previously in the show, Lorna's healed up sufficiently. I was talking to Lorna at the weekend. Her rehab's going really well, so that's really positive. We hope to see Lorna back on the mats really soon. So this one is going to be a men's event, and it is going to be a Four Nations. So England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales are going to be contesting this one.
Yes, so we've got the Four Nations, so Scotland, England. Is it Ireland? Is it Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, or is it just Southern Ireland?
It's Ireland as a unified body, so they can pick from anywhere, similar to the rugby.
Yeah. So we've got Ireland there, and then what's the situation then? So you've got 5 guys. So what's are we going to have captains? How's the situation with that?
Yep, we've got captains. They've actually been in place in most cases for quite a wee while, because we have actually this in the works for a fair bit of time. So we'll start off with closest to hand. So we'll start off with Team Scotland. And Team Scotland is going to be headed up by our under 85 kilo champion, the King of the North himself, Kev McAloon.
Nice. Kev, again, as you know, Kev's been on an absolute tear as of recent. I mean, obviously having wins, obviously not just the under 85 champion at SGI, having wins at Evolution of Combat, obviously beating Jack Brown. He's going to be on Grapple Fest 10 as well. So purple belt from SBG Mori. So Kev McAloon, Scottish team captain.
Okay. We'll move south of the border. This is the latest of our team captains, and it's someone we've mentioned quite a fair bit already in the interview tonight. And I am very pleased to say that Owen Livesey is coming back up to head up Team England. So that's going to be fireworks again, I think.
Yes, Owen Livesey. I mean, anybody that hasn't seen the video that's been posted all over line, I don't know. You've obviously not been on Facebook then, because as I said, everybody's seen this video. And again, just Owen with takedown after takedown. And again, that just wasn't just his game. Obviously, his ground game was solid. I mean, the way he kind of controlled Mark McQueen on the ground and stuff like that was. Again, I've never seen anybody do that at all in the whole time Mark's been training. So, Owen Livesey coming back to Scotland, and obviously bringing a team of animals with him, I can only imagine.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, especially if he's going to bring some of these girls from Carlson Gracie as well, because
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
people they don't produce shrinking violets down there. You
No,
just need doesn't matter which of the gyms it is, whether it's Owen's Gym and Hall or the headquarters in Hammersmith. Um, no, it's not how Simon, Dickey, or Wilson do things. It's like
yes,
everyone's going to be someone who's well up for a fight, who is going to have extremely good technique, um, and yeah, it's going to represent the name of the team
Yeah. That's the Carlson Gracie way. I mean, anybody that's ever fought a Carlson Gracie guy in a competition, these guys are always coming. They're coming to fight. And yeah, I mean, Owen Livesey coming back to Scotland. I knew he loved it. I mean, I spoke to him a few times after SGI, on and off camera, and he absolutely loved SGI. He loved the setup, he loved the venue. And loved Scotland as well. And as I said, not just his first time in Scotland. Obviously, he was up for the Commonwealth Games when he won his gold medal in 2014 for judo. So yeah, absolutely loves Glasgow. So it'll be good to see Owen back up in Glasgow in December. And then yeah, next one then, James. Who have we got?
So we'll move a bit to the west, and that will take us into Wales. And coming up to us again from Cardiff was one of our participants in our under 75 kilo tournament, and that is black belt Ben Robson from CF24.
Yes. So Ben, as we know, I mean, I think I met Ben at the last Scottish grappling competition. So Ben comes with again a wealth of experience, black belt. Not just in doesn't just do jiu-jitsu, but obviously had an MMA career as well, an amateur career in MMA. So again, looking forward to seeing who he's going to bring up as well. I mean, Wales has got some fantastic talent that's been produced over the last so many years. And like Scotland, obviously being a small country, yeah, looking forward to seeing who Ben's going to bring up and what kind of people are going to be up here to take on, obviously, Kev McAloon and Owen Livesey's teams.
Okay, and last but by no means least, we jump across the Irish Sea, and coming to us from Cork is our Ireland team captain, and that is Team Rhino brown belt Kian Brohan, who's been a veteran of a couple of SGIs and never misses the opportunity to travel across, mainly so that he can wind up James Cogs, but he likes competing as well.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. Brown belt, T45 Jiu-Jitsu. Again, I've spoke to Kieran before. Obviously, seen him at the SGIs. Again, Kieran's quite busy as well. I mean, he's got a few submission-only competitions ongoing at the moment. So we're going to see more of Kieran over the next couple of months. And then, obviously, going to see him at SGI. And, yeah, I mean, obviously, bringing guys over from Ireland. I mean, we've got to see obviously Dylan Nooney. Dylan Nooney, I believe, obviously from Northern Ireland. We've got to see Keith Kavanagh as well. Albeit he was against Mark McQueen, but we did get to see some of Keith's game. So yeah, Ireland again got a wealth of talent coming from Ireland.
Yes, and it's again guys who we maybe wouldn't have seen before, and we are actually starting to get a lot more guys from Ireland interested in being on
Yeah,
SGI, because really it's not that far a hop in the plane, or guys coming from the north who jump on a ferry. I mean, that's
yeah.
obviously a wee bit longer, and you've got that road's not exactly the nicest to drive up. Certainly not in December. I don't think I would fancy
No,
that.
definitely not.
No, it's something different for people to see, because we're always keen to promote local talent, but we'd like to see them up against people who they're not going to bump into as readily in regular competitions and things. It gives them a bit of variety, a bit more challenge.
Yeah. And then how will is it something you've worked out yet? How the kind of fight kind of schedule's going to go? I mean, what's is it going to be everybody against everybody, or is it going to be having like two semi-finals and then one final?
I think it's going to be two semi-finals, and probably what we would look to do is do a third place match,
Yeah,
and then the final as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
probably we always kind of like to spread it out with the opening matches of the tournaments at the start, and
Hmm.
then when we have semis, usually they're at the opening of the second of our three sections, and then the finals are obviously at the end. So we'll probably do something of a similar nature.
Yeah,
Just kind of depends on what other matches we got on. We've had a lot of interest so far. Pretty much everybody who was on the card this time's one back on, and I know we've had a lot of interest generated from some of the gyms that we had guys on for the first time, like Owen's gym. There's a lot of guys have said they want to be on
Yeah,
this, so
yeah,
again, that'll be something good for the guys up here because it's different people. Unless you're traveling down, and do you know what? This is one of the weirdest things out. See the number of times I've seen guys travel down south, and you look at who they've been drawn against in the first round. It's been somebody that's from a gym 10 miles away, as opposed to
yeah, yeah,
somebody different. It's just
yeah.
probably the Scottish luck.
Definitely. So there we go, guys. Obviously, the SGI is going to have SGI9. Obviously, the Four Nations square go. So Scotland, headed up by Kevin McAloon. England, headed up by Owen Livesey. Uh, Wales, headed up by Ben Robson, and Ireland, headed up by Kian Brohan. Now, obviously, these guys, we're going to get them on at some point, and then what they'll do is they'll announce their teams. So obviously, I know that they're in the process of setting the teams up at the moment. So these will be obviously announced as and when. But I mean, yeah, Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales have a wealth of talent that these guys can pull from.
Yeah, and there's method to my madness with doing this as well because the team captains choose their own teams. So somebody pulls out, it's not on me to try and replace them.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it was an absolute nightmare. I know you had an absolute nightmare trying to keep this 8-man tournament together. And as I said, you managed to pull it off and keep obviously 8 men coming because it was. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, people are pulling out COVID and so on. But yeah, I mean, managing to get the 8 men on the mats that night was tough, James.
I mean, it was just one of these ones that was starting to look like it was cursed because um, over the space of one weekend, I think we lost three guys
Yeah,
from I think it was the Thursday to the Sunday night. And then just a couple of other things happened after that, and you're like, oh, so I mean, we're still scrambling up until I think about the Tuesday to kind of fill spaces, and we were. I don't want to say lucky because it wasn't lucky in terms of how it transpired, and that Aiden Stephen obviously had a fight on Cage Warriors, and I can't remember. There's something happened with his opponent. I can't remember what it was. They tested positive for COVID or something.
yeah. There was there
Um,
was again there was no proof of it, but apparently there was a positive COVID test, and yeah, unfortunately, yeah, Aiden didn't get the fight, which was obviously n- not good for Cage Warriors, but it was excellent for Scottish grappling.
yeah, because we always know Aiden's going to give it. And say that first match with Dylan Mooney was phenomenal to watch, and I say I still cringe when I think of that calf slicer because that was horrific.
Yeah, it was the way he had it in as well. I mean, where I was standing, you got probably one of the better views of it, and it was in tight. And I remember Aiden coming off after it and saying, "Yeah, yeah, man, that was that was tight." And not just that. I mean, Aiden was on Evolution of Combat. I think it was Evolution of Combat 8, and he got caught with by Davy Sharp in
Yeah,
I can't
the
remember, it
hook,
was a footlock or heel hook. Um,
the
and
upside heel hook.
yeah, yeah, and he nearly done his knee in that night. So, and then obviously the calf slicer. So, yeah, I mean, Aiden's tough, man, a tough
Mhm.
as nails guy, and he won't give up easily. So,
Yeah, it's um, so. Aye, we were able to put that together. There was a few other matches had things, but again, people are always that keen to be on. It was pretty easy to
yeah,
replace them, or if there had been a couple of cases where full matches fell through,
yeah,
and we replaced them because there were guys who were like, "Oh no, I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it."
yeah, yeah. And a big shout out to one guy that was on there that night was Lewis Penny. Lewis Penny obviously got a win against Liam Slay, and Lewis Penny was also wanting to step up and fight anybody else that pulled out. Because I remember talking to him, and he said, "Look, if anybody pulls out, I'm ready to go up again." And you're like, "Mate, enjoy your win, Lewis. Enjoy your win, and just watch and enjoy the rest of the show."
Because that's not the first time Lewis has done that. He did that in one of the other shows. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but
Yeah,
he jumped in a second time because somebody had pulled out very late notice.
yeah,
I can't for the life of me remember what show it was on, but it does ring a bell.
yeah. That's the kind of people that we want to see. These guys that are willing to step up. As I said, they maybe had a fight and they're willing to step up. Or even the guys that stepped up last minute and so on. So these are the guys that we love to see coming out.
Mm-hmm. Can't remember if it was against Graham McQuiston. That kind of rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong.
That would have been an early SGI as well. That
Yeah,
would have
I
been
think it was.
So I mean, you've matched up hundreds of people on SGI. So trying to remember one match would be difficult with the amount of matches that you've put together.
Need to look back through my spreadsheets.
Yeah, yeah. And then what about singles matches? Well, obviously we've got the the 4-team square go. What about singles matches? Obviously singles match is going to be in between as well. Any kind
Yeah,
of weights that you're looking out for?
not really at the moment. We'll just kind of see. I reached out to club coaches earlier in the week, and I've had some um, names and weights back in. So I'll have a look at that. Wait, give it another few days, see who else sends details in, and then we can start look at some ideas of ones already from
Mhm.
ones I've had in. So just need to wait and see. There will obviously be less singles matches than we had on the last one because just with the nature of the team event, because it's not one match,
Yeah.
it's potentially you could have 9 matches the way
Mhm.
it works out. And although they're shorter, so it's 8 minutes for a match where they're reasonably close in weight.
Mhm.
It's down to 4 if there's more than 20 kilos of a weight disparity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously that can mean that what's on paper one match, you've got taken up quite a fair bit of time. So there'll be less singles matches available.
Mhm.
But what we'll do is we'll make sure that they're, as always, evenly matched and good quality.
Definitely. Definitely. So guys, remember to get your names in. Usual way. Scottish Grappling page. Jump on the Scottish Grappling page.
We are dealing with coaches
Right.
this
So
time out.
coaches. Yeah. So coaches
So
then.
we've messaged, I think we've messaged all the coaches. Simple reason for that is folk are messaging us, giving details, and not actually run it by their coaches. And we are
Yeah.
getting angry messages, and I'm having to apologise.
Right.
So if you want to be on the show, speak to your coach, get them to message us with the
Mhm.
details, everything that they're wanting on. That way, we're not going to get flack for people
Yeah.
because we try to do things the proper way. But if you don't, we take people at the word.
Mhm.
But if we can't do that, then we'll just make sure that we're going through the channels where there's no comeback on us.
Makes sense. It does make sense, as I said. So, coaches, obviously, some of you guys have been messaged already. Any that hasn't, obviously, speak to James. So, obviously, you know how to get in contact with him through the Scottish Grappling page. So, again, SGI9, December, Saturday, December the 11th, Maryhill Community Halls. Tickets, again, ticket details will be available a little bit closer to the time. And then the matchups, obviously, as the matchups are being announced, we'll obviously have them on the show and obviously chatting to the fighters as we get them. So, but looking forward to this one. This one promises to be a bigger event than the SGI8. SGI8 was fantastic, and they're always getting better and better, James, as they go on.
Yeah, we're obviously hoping that our good friend, our videographer, Jamie McCallum's going to be back for this one. So just if you're watching this, Jamie, I know I spoke to you a couple of times recently just to see how you're doing. But obviously, from all of us, we're wishing you all the best and a quick recovery.
Definitely. So, so yeah, Jamie will be back. I know there was some videos going about of fights and stuff like that. Scott Hills put out some fantastic pictures as well. So, big shout out to Scott for the pictures. I'd say they're on the Scottish Jiu-Jitsu community page. So if you've not seen them, definitely get over and have a look at some of the pictures. There was a fantastic picture of Lewis Penny, probably the picture of the night. The one where he was sitting giving it the big licks. So yeah, definitely have a look at that as well.
Yeah, see, we did try and record some footage of our own from it, but it's not the greatest. It's quite jerky, so I don't think that's going to make an appearance, judging by it. But we'll see if there's anything that can be salvaged. Probably going to need to edit some of the sound out because you can clearly hear me shouting at Santino. It's Carlson Gracie, not Carlos Gracie.
And I had a couple of because he mentioned Jan's name wrong as well, and I remember saying to him, "Oh, you mentioned Jan's name wrong," because I think he was calling him Jan Tatarinowski, but I think it's Tatarinovich. But Santino, obviously, he was like, "Well, people mentioned my name wrong as well." So, but no, listen, it's going to be another great event. So, guys, keep an eye out on the usual places. Scottish Jiu-Jitsu community page. It's going to be on the Scottish Grappling page. Obviously, we'll have it on the MMA UK, the BJJ show page, obviously our own personal pages and stuff like that. So you'll be able to see all the information a little bit closer to the time, obviously as and when it's being announced. So keep an eye out for that. 4-man nations competition. The square go is back, so we're all looking forward to that. So James, listen, absolute pleasure to have you on again. As I said, we'll obviously keep in touch over the time. And again, guys, don't forget, James, Scottish grappling event. It's going to be happening, I believe, November.
Yes, 7th of November at Scotstoun. So that's the Glasgow Open. It's the one that was postponed from April 2020 because we essentially paid for absolutely everything for it. So Scotstoun were just going to redo it whenever they could. So that was the first chance we could get to have it in. So a slightly different format than we've used before. So it's similar to how grappling industries do it. So as long as you're in a division of 3 people or more, you're going to be essentially guaranteed 2 matches unless somebody in your division is stupid and misses weight or they pick up an injury or something like that. These are things we cannot license for. They do unfortunately happen, but hopefully we won't. But it's looking like everyone should get quite a fair bit of experience on the day. Some monstrous divisions already. Some of the I think white belt under 76, for instance, there's quite a I think there's about 20 odd folk in that. So aye, that'll be running for a wee while. But no, it should be a good day. Just remember one key thing: check what roads and things are going to be shut, because obviously we've got COP26 going on. It's not going to affect the area around Scotstoun. It could affect how you get there, because for instance the Clydeside Expressway is closed, which would be one of the main ways to go. But definitely coming south side wise, going up along through the Clyde Tunnel is still going to be open. Coming down Crow Road from like coming off the Great Western Road or coming down from Mary Hillside, that will still be fine as well. So just make sure you plan your routes accordingly. I think we've got maybe about 45 slots left for that, so I would expect that to close before the cut-off,
Mhm.
which is Halloween, I
Yeah.
think, is the closing date for entries, but I'm fully expecting that we're going to close before then, so don't miss out. We are not going to be having spectators at that one,
Yeah.
because if we go over 500 people, we've then got to require vaccine passports, so we'll stick it to the competitors and the coaches,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's going to be a lot of extra hassle. We will try and get some form of stream sorted for that one. It'll not be the smooth comp one because they're very reluctant to use anything other than Apple devices for that. I've repeatedly asked them to get it on Android, but they don't seem to be interested.
Yeah.
So we'll work something out, just so that people can actually see it. But we might even be lucky, and the Scottish government restrictions could be lifted
Yeah.
for that time. I know they're rumoured to be lifting the mask ban in schools.
Mhm.
So we'll see,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
probably coming a bit too soon for
Yeah.
November the 7th. But yeah, that's the next one, and then a month later, SGI9.
Definitely. So it's going to be a busy couple of months for you, James. Um,
Yep,
more grey hair, more sleepless nights.
yep,
so, but no, listen, we always love a Scottish grappling event, whether it be the competitions or even the SGIs. As I said, I know that everybody in Scotland and further afield appreciates all the work that yourself and Gary and the rest of the team at Scottish Grappling put in, James. So it's more than appreciated from myself and obviously the rest of the guys.
Well, the poor Gary was doing his best impersonation of Bobby the Barman last time because we've forgotten to arrange somebody else to give him a hand. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think he ever, because I spoke to him, and he never got to. He never got. I don't think he watched any fights at all.
no, he didn't. Um,
So
just bear in mind, folks. I know I'm joking saying Bobby the Barman there. Under no circumstances go up to him at the next show and say 2 pints your dick because that'll probably not end well.
yeah,
Unless you're Mad John, he will probably do that.
Mad John would, but I think Mad John's probably the only person in Scotland, and again further afield, that would go up to Gary and say something like that.
Yeah. To be fair, he said worse to him, but we don't call him Mad John for nothing.
Definitely, definitely. Well, listen, James, again, absolute pleasure. So, guys, keep an
Likewise,
eye
Clive.
out. The shows are coming, one in November, one in December. So keep an eye out, and more details certainly will be revealed about SGI9. All right. So, James, again, absolute pleasure. All right. And I'll speak
Likewise,
to you
Clive.
soon.
Yes, thank you.